I think of public sculpture as throwing a pebble into a pond where concentric rings radiate out from it to affect people in different ways over the years, because the pieces are there permanently and many people get to see them and be affected by them. And I like the idea of having a large audience. I'm an artist and a sculptor here in St. Petersburg, Florida. My primary focus over the last 7 or 8 years has been public sculpture. And in that time, I've got about 15 or 20 commissions. I try to use unusual materials that aren't usually thought of as the building blocks for sculpture, like children's toys, forks and spoons, cutlery, pots and pans, dog bowls, and a whole variety of objects that come together to form a piece. And there's several levels of interest with pieces like that, because from afar they represent an animal or a shape, and as people get closer they realize they're made out of a cacophony of different objects, which is a sort of a secondary level of interest for the viewer. This is a commission for Baptist Medical Center in Jacksonville, Florida. It's a wayfinding sculpture, which means it leads from one place on the medical campus to the next. It leads people to the Wolfson Children's Emergency Room entrance. And it's made up of, I lost count of the number of fish, but it's in the realm of about 407 different schools. And they're made up of various plates of laser cut stainless steel that fit together. They're powder coated, some of them are powder coated, which is a very permanent process for an outdoor sculpture. And some of them, you'll see this covering, I'll peel one off here. This protects the mirror finish stainless steel. But these fish that are mirror polished, like I'm revealing to you right now, will reflect the environment. So the trees, the sky, there'll be a constant array of changing colors. But we leave this protective surface on there to protect it while we're moving them. And they go up to 10 feet, and this is just a rough setup in the studio so we could space the fish out correctly. They're all TIG welded together, as you can see, very solidly to these 1/2-inch thick wavy support rods, which echo seaweed, hopefully. So it was a project that was in the works for almost a year, and over 2,000 pounds of stainless steel parts. Quite a process of putting everything together, but as you can see, the result is fairly spectacular.
Hi, my name's Christopher Hubbard, and I'm the Cultural Affairs Coordinator for the City of Clearwater. I'm pleased to be talking about Donald's work, Gaia, which is part of our Sculpture 360 program. This program started in 2008 to bring high-quality public artwork to downtown Clearwater, showing off the diversity of talent throughout our nation, and especially our local artists like Donald. We're pleased to have had this piece, and since it started, when it was first installed, it became a favorite in downtown Clearwater. I was really impressed with Donald's professionalism, and I've had the fortunate ability to work with him for the past couple years in a variety of capacities. Donald always brings a professional attitude and puts his heart and soul into the work that he does, which you can definitely see coming out here in his sculpture Gaia.
These support units for the sculpture that's going across from Town Hall in Oldsmar, I included an homage to Ransom Olds, the automotive designer and founder of Oldsmobile, who founded the town of Oldsmar, hence its name, Oldsmar by the sea, by collecting all these Oldsmobile transmission parts, which are going to be welded to the pipes as a tribute. And a little inside note, to Mr. Olds. And it took me several months to collect all these gears. As you could see, there's quite a bit, which is going to add a lot of weight, but a lot of interest to these otherwise unremarkable pipes, ugly pipes. So I'm interested to see how it looks when it's festooned with all these gears. The wings are in front and they're sort of cantilevered from there. So the gear-covered pipes are sort of a little special treat. Once you see the wings, take your pictures, and then start to examine the sculpture a little bit more, you'll see these very interesting support pipes. This is the Enlightened Man, which it kind of evolved from an earlier piece, which was a man turning into a tree. And he was legs and torso, and the top of him was a tree. And I decided to turn him into a more complete piece, as you see here. And it's a statement about inner strength. I was kind of relating to the subject when I first started to have tremors from Parkinson's. And it's about, you know, our inner light and our will to go on. There's a little switch over here that activates his lit heart. And he's made out of primarily transmission gears. They're called steels. And what I did was I shaped them with the hammer and the anvil to have an organic feel for the piece. And I worked very intensely on his face because we all relate to human faces. And I wanted to get the proportions right and his expression of sort of resolve in persisting with pulling open his own chest. He's a life-size figure and he's fully in the round. And it was also the inspiration for a commission I got from the city of Jacksonville to do a 12-foot tall version of this where he's striding forward with wings and pulling open his chest. One of my favorite animals has always been a hyena. I just think they're fascinating. They have a matriarchal society, which is unusual in the animal kingdom. And I try to represent a hyena in all its glory and power. I worked very hard on getting a certain look to the face where he looks surprised and poised. And again, it's made up of different types of found objects in steel, which are like a organized cacophony of shapes that represent his anatomy. And this piece is quite heavy. It's about 250 pounds. So I built in a little hook so it can be craned up or fork lifted up to move it. This piece is called Magnificent Fish. It's for a recreation area on a wall on I think it's the 8th or 10th floor of a building in Fort Lauderdale, commissioned by the Stiles Corporation. And unfortunately, you're seeing him with this wooden support structure on him. But if you can look around it and see the gears, it's made up of 7 or 8 very large gears, which were laser cut out of stainless steel and then textured with this interesting pattern by hand. He weighs about 600 pounds, and I had to build this special table so we could work on him. There's also interesting found objects, this hubcap, some cookware, some other objects, all in stainless steel. Particularly like the way his tail comes together. It's an interesting little assemblage of pieces. His tail fins are going to be applied like so. And his dorsal fin is a separate piece as well that's going to be bolted on. And the reason I did that is because they only have a limited room to get the piece up to the 8th floor by a crane. And so we'll attach the tail and the dorsal fin once it gets into place. So I'm very excited about this piece. It's all TIG welded together, and it's going over a wall that's being painted by Derek Donnelly, the muralist, to look like patinaed copper. So it's really going to be a great installation.